Previously on Funny Science Fiction.
But wait, there's more. And if you order right now, not only will you get these 75 great hits.
Flashback to waking up to my TV still being on.
Yes!
Right? Exactly.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Hi, this is Jennifer Hale, and you're listening to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
The podcast that helps you relax as much as Anakin Skywalker on a sand dune. All right, so our guest today is the voice of many characters that you have come to know and love over the years. She's lent her vocal talents to such characters as Jean Grey of the X-Men, Aayla Secura of Star Wars, Cinderella of, Cinderella, Carol Danvers or Captain Marvel of Marvel's Avengers, and Ashe from Overwatch. I could keep going. Literally, there's like 475 listings in IMDb under the name of Jennifer Hale. So we are so proud to welcome Jennifer Hale to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Tim. I'm so happy to be here. It's great to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad we were able to make this work out because I've wanted to talk to you for a while. I'm a big fan of a lot of the things that you do. I'm also a big fan of voice actors and your guys' ability to do things. And so whenever I have an opportunity to bring a voice actor on to Funny Science Fiction Podcast, I love to do it because you guys have some really cool stories too. So anyway, now for anyone who has ever watched or listened to our show, it's not a very well hidden fact that I am a Star Wars fan. It's actually pretty thinly veiled.
There was a veil?
There wasn't a veil. There was no veil. It was pretty much right out there in the open and all behind me on the walls.
You just threw into people's faces.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's where we're going with this. Okay, so one of the reasons I was so excited and want to be able to talk to you is that I looking through your credits, I saw you had listings for a variety of older Star Wars video games, like Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, which I used to play, and I love those games. I still own them. There's of course now the newer version, the Old Republic game. You've been a part of that, but you've also been in Clone Wars, Rebels, Resistance. You've done the voice of Aayla Secura in The Rise of Skywalker. There's Lego Star Wars, and again, I could keep going on and on. So one of the questions I always like to ask people who are involved with Star Wars projects, because I am a Star Wars nerd, and I like to know, were you a Star Wars fan before working in that universe? And if so, what got your interest into Star Wars?
I wasn't like a highly educated Star Wars fan, but I was a huge fan of just what it felt like to watch the movies. I'm a fan of the sort of uber nerd side of it. The fact that Joseph Campbell sat down with George Lucas when he was writing Star Wars and that he was part of that process. And the way, I think one of the things that makes that legacy live so strong to this day is that it's based on a foundation of like solid storytelling that has gone on around the planet for millennia. And I think that's super cool about it. I'm like a deep nerd that way.
Okay. I can get with that. So in playing in the characters that you have you throughout the what's the word I'm looking for here? Audition. That's the word I'm looking for. Through the audition process, my mind just went completely blank for like 30 seconds there. Just anyway.
It was actually only 2.5, but it felt like 30 seconds.
It always feels longer. But during the audition process, did you have you ended up with Aayla Secura for on a couple of these projects? Does that like the character that you auditioned for that you wanted, or was there a story behind how you got to the characters you got to?
With Aayla Secura, I actually was brought into Clone Wars to do that character, and I don't remember that there was an audition, because at that time Dave Filoni was directing us, and he was, I think, heavily involved in casting or whatever his involvement in casting is. I actually don't know, but he was heavily involved in crafting the characters with us once we got in the booth. And I remember being there, and we had a great conversation about what did she sound like, where did she live, and I threw out some options and samples, and he went, that one. And then Ryo Chuchi came out of that same bit of work with Dave on the Clone Wars series, and she landed in this kind of Aussie, New Zealandish, give or take, maybe British kind of pool of mix-a-lot, which I love using those kind of dialects in sci-fi because they're from different planets. They're not from the UK or
Right.
Australia. They're from different places. So I like doing a mashup. That being said, when you go back a couple years later to pick something up or reprise something or whatever, it's kind of a nightmare because you're like, what did I do? Oh no, man, I really messed myself over on this one. Now I have to repeat it. Okay. Yeah.
What you just brought up something that I always thought was kind of interesting, especially in sci-fi, was the use of the British accent, across sci-fi, and how that's kind of become the accepted.
A lot of planets have a north.
Well,
A
true.
lot of planets have imperialism, colonialism.
Right. So the old saying that, the sun never set on the British Empire, I didn't realize that extended out to other planets as well, but
Multiple suns.
multiple
That's right.
suns,
Their
especially
influence is vast, deep, and important.
especially with Tatooine. All right. Excellent.
So I was looking through your IMDb and realizing that it would honestly be easier to start listing the places I haven't heard your voice. Because honestly, I was looking at it and I'm like, her voice is almost a daily occurrence in our house. My daughter loves the Lego Star Wars. We love Cinderella. We love Wreck-It Ralph. And I'm like, she was in that. She was in that. She was in that. Seriously, your voice is in our house almost every day, which is hilarious to me.
I love that, and I'm sorry.
Oh, it's totally great.
That's awesome.
A little until I looked at pictures again was that you did a one shot with Critical Role.
I did.
I had totally forgotten about that one shot episode. I Am a Critter.
Oh, awesome.
I honestly dream interview would be talk to Laura Bailey because like our kids are
she's
about
fabulous.
the same age.
Yeah.
Like her son's a few months older than my daughter.
Oh wow.
I have the Critical Role Laura Bailey's bag of holding, her dice bag, because I love it. But it's so cool. I'm like, oh, she's involved with all of those nerdy voice actors because they seem like such a cool group of people.
They are a cool group of people, and Critical Role happened because they're a cool group of people who love to hang out and do what they love, and because they're smart. And they all have smarts in different aspects. Travis in particular loves business and the way business works, and he has a super business oriented perspective, as they all do. And they've made choices to take back their IP as artists and run it themselves, and so it's run from the heart, not from the wallet, and it's
really
powerful.
cool.
Yeah.
And then going from playing in their friend's living room or their friend's basement to then having their own studio to now having their Amazon show. Yeah. Showing that us little independent creators, we can do it. We have somebody to look up to. We can do this.
Exactly. And the Guinness record for the biggest Kickstarter.
Yes. And it was super fast too.
Yep.
Like
it was way fast.
I remember the announcement of the Kickstarter and then the announcement of we surpassed our goal. And I'm like, that was like 24 hours.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yep.
But I wondered about your role in RPGs. Was that a one-time thing for you, or have you played other tabletop games?
I've done a few. Like we did one for the Mass Effect Legendary announcements, and we did I've done them here and there. I'm not that great at it. I love it, but I haven't done it enough to get really good at it. I love doing it though. I love hanging out with my friends and doing that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that's the best though, is when you're not really super great at it and you're playing it for the fun of it, not for the rules.
Yeah. It's like karaoke for real. Like karaoke for real is embarrassing and not very good. And that's me. Yeah.
Because I've played with rules lawyers and it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun to play with people who are like, no, that's not how it works in the book. It's like, I don't care how it works in the book. That's how it works in the story.
Yeah. I remember when I was doing that one shot, let's see, Liam was next to me and Mercer was again one over to my left and Laura was kind of across from me and so was Travis, and we were doing something and I got all excited and I got all enthusiastic and I started in my responses to begin to craft the plot line. And somebody's like, oh no, you're not supposed to, that's Matt's job. That's Mercer does that. And I was like, oh, and Travis looks at me, he leans back in his chair and he goes, we've all done it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's true though. But I have my husband is the GM for our group, and my character is actually a gnome barbarian, which everybody's like, but gnomes are little and not strong. I'm like, have you ever tried to fight a toddler?
So it's an ode to your child.
It is. My character is my 3-year-old with a warhammer.
Oh, and we all want to see that movie.
Oh And the number of times that we've been playing and it'll be my turn and I'll go to do something and my husband's like, so do you want to show us how you're doing that? Do you want to explain that? And I will hand my daughter Mjolnir with the go hit daddy in kneecaps. Like, I mean, it's a big plastic one. It's not actually going to hurt him, but I'm like, this is what I mean. 3 foot tall character at a shoulder swing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Tim.
I'm willing to loan my all wooden Mjolnir right there.
I don't actually want to hurt him.
Today.
Oh, well,
Right now. He did bring me a burger tonight. I don't think I want to hurt him yet.
well, not today, but there will be times.
Oh, I'm sure.
There will be times.
Give it time.
I've known you guys long enough. There will be times.
We're human. There will be times.
Exactly. You're married. There will be times.
My husband and I are practically the same person. There will definitely be times.
That statement's more accurate than what she wants to let on. But
oh yeah, so true, so true. When he told his friends that he found a girl, and they're like, "You what? You what?" Yeah, and then his mom's like, "Oh yeah, and she's just like him." There's 2 of him.
It's scary at
a
times.
miniature version of ourselves.
Oh, that's great. Who's gonna kneecap you?
Yes, with a replica Mjolnir.
That's right.
It's just how it works.
So Jennifer, with so much experience under your belt with voiceovers, what would be some advice that you would either like to give like to your younger self or someone just getting started into acting or voice acting?
Well, this is a tee up for my company, right? You didn't even know that. Honest to God, for myself, I would say really clearly, like, slow your roll. You're doing great. Please learn now to stop being hard on yourself. Just stop that habit. It's just a habit. Knock it off so you can enjoy yourself. Enjoy it more. That's what I would say. You're enough. Relax. Enjoy it more. I'd say that to my younger self. To somebody starting out to say today, honest to God, there's a couple basics. Seriously, I partnered with a developer and with my sister, and we created this website where you can get like 10 minutes of coaching from somebody who's been doing this forever. It would be like if you're a ball player and you wanted LeBron James or Bill Belichick to mentor you, but you didn't know how to get a hold of them. But then you had this place you could get a hold of them, and then you could just, you could pay them by the minute for whatever you could afford and ask their advice, and then come back after you did what they said and check in again. That's the website I built. It's with the voiceover, like working actors, casting directors, voice directors, people who've been doing it forever, who you could normally not connect with in this way. You can get them one-on-one in little pockets you can afford. It's called Skills Hub. It's acting.skillshub.life. And I carry my Binky mug with me everywhere I go. I don't know if you can see. Come on, camera. Oh, it's all gonna.
It's trying.
It's trying. Come on, you got this. Oh, it doesn't want to cooperate. Anyway,
I think it's the lighting.
Yeah, there we go.
Come closer. It will...
When I need it, it doesn't perform. So go to our website. We got all kinds of stuff on there for everybody. Just check it out. It's really great. The other thing is D. Baker made a beautiful site called iwanttobeinvoiceactor.com. That's a killer source of information. But honestly, make a plan and tackle it in baby steps. That's the thing I tell people all the time who are getting started on the site, on Skills Hub, is just book 10 minutes with somebody who knows, tell them what you want to do, see what they suggest for like your next 3 months, like what the little bits you might do every day or every week, and then do it. And then check back in. Like, we all mentor, I don't know. The one thing we're not getting back is time, right?
Right.
The one thing we will not get back in our lives is time. And if I can go to somebody who will be a mentor to me and save me time, take my money. Because I can get that again. I can't get my days back and my years back. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can absolutely see benefit from that. Instead of sitting and spinning your wheels, not having a sure direction of where to go. Because a lot of the people that we've talked to who started off in voice acting all talk about that. The very first little bit, they're not sure of where to go and what to do. And many felt that they have stumbled into the pockets of voice acting that they've done, purely by accident, because they didn't know how to get there, but they got there. They're still not sure how they got there, but they did.
Yeah.
So to have the ability to be or have access to this wide array of mentors, I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We have 70 coaches now on the site.
Wow.
And and our goal is to like, well, honestly, initially we made it because things have changed so that we audition by ourselves at home in the booth, and the feedback we get after an audition is this. That's all we get back. Nothing. I'm like, am I on? And you could be incredible and not book the role because, it's just a matter of like, do they want a kiwi or a tangelo? Oh, we needed a tangelo this week, and you're
Sure.
a dragon fruit, like whatever it ends up being, right? And it can be a little demoralizing. It can be a little like, oh, you can lose your mojo a little bit in that process. So initially we built it because I was like, I just want 10 minutes with someone I trust to tell me if I'm on or off, or, oh, I didn't know I've been shooting myself in the foot that way. I've been putting my best stuff, like warming up into it about 20 seconds into the audition and really nailing it at the end. But they stopped listening after about 15 seconds. Oh,
Sure.
So it's just, that's why we initially built it. And then all these people showed up who were like, I want to know how to do this. So we've geared a lot. Put a lot of things in place for people like that.
That's a really cool resource, and we'll get some more information from you about that towards the end of the show, so we can put some notes in
Sure.
down in the bottom for everybody to be able to look that up. So I was on another show, somebody else's show. I was a guest on their show, being interviewed about being a podcast host, and the guests that we have here on Funny Science Fiction, and our process and how we do things and all that kind of stuff. So when we were talking about our guests, the topic of voice actors came up, because they had noted how many voice actors we've talked to over the last couple of years. And of course, I brought up that I'm a fan of voice actors, what you guys do and how you do it and all that stuff. Now, the host of that show, his name is Will. Will brought up a gentleman by the name of Michael Buffer, who's not necessarily a voice actor per se, but he does use his voice to make a living. And so, and then we talked about his voice, his catchphrase, which I don't think I can say without getting sued. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it at catchphrase, because Michael Buffer, Mr. Buffer, you're very nice, but I am broke. Anyway, but we also talked about the strain that many voice artists go through with their voice, and especially if there's yelling or screaming sessions and trying to get different growls or things done, and how that can affect the voice. I realize I just built you this really big clock to tell you the time and ask you this one simple question.
Sometimes the clock and how it's structured are really important. Yeah.
Oh, that's a very nice bailout for me. Thank you.
Have bucket, you'll bail.
I appreciate it. We'll keep you around. So the thought is here, and Will was wondering this as well. So Buffer has a insurance policy on his vocal cords. Do you, as a voice artist, insure your vocal cords? Have you thought of that? Why or why not?
I do. I did for a long time. Turns out the only place that'll insure me anyway, that I could find was Lloyd's of London, which is crazy. And I paid for a policy every year until I think last year, when I was like, okay, look, if the train crashes into the station, I have other resources, I have other backup, so I'll let that chunk of change a year go back to me.
Sure.
But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it was just one of those things that was, where I knew the answer would be much shorter than the lead up in the question. But shut up, Kathleen.
Well, I mean, I think it's a great
I
question.
didn't say anything this time.
It calls out stuff that's honestly relevant to every single person, which is that whole what if planning thing, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
If you've never lost anybody unexpectedly or been through all that stuff, you likely have not planned for something crazy happening, which means when I was younger, someone very close to me, his dad, who I was also very close to, passed away unexpectedly, really unexpectedly. And there were 4 kids, and I watched them suffer so much because they didn't know what to do with anything from his washer and dryer to his actual physical self. They didn't know. And I'm like, right. I'm not leaving that to anybody, not because I care what happens, but because I care that they're not feeling like that. That would suck. So those kind of things, we don't think about them, but they save trouble for everybody else too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I know that we've had a couple of episodes where Tim has been so excited because the voice actor was such a huge part of his childhood.
Oh.
And I'm like, and I mean, it was cartoons before my time. Because Tim's old.
Rude.
And I realized, I'm like, wait, this is the time where I get to be excited that the voice actor is the voice of my childhood.
Oh,
You're Ivy, and Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego? And I love that show.
oh my
I love
God,
that
I'm so
show
glad.
so much.
Me too.
It is such a fun show.
Yeah, it's a great
It's
show.
so much fun.
It's so
And
much
then
fun.
realizing that you've been the animated voice of Cinderella since the late 90s, which is also really, really cool.
Since 95, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I was curious with being the voice of Cinderella, how cool is it to be the voice of probably one of the most famous princesses of all time? And also, how stressful is that?
It's actually really cool. It's a big responsibility, but I remember that audition. I remember leaning over a tape recorder and nobody else was in the waiting room yet. I just happened to come in between people and just playing that track over and over and over and over that they had out for us, that little cassette, rewind, play, because it was 1990, whatever it was, 5. I think. And maybe it was 94, I don't remember. But and I learned it like a jingle because I was a jingle singer before I moved to LA. And then also I connected with her so much just emotionally, just like we just lined up beautifully. So I really feel very comfortable with Cinderella. I do. Another thing I do for Disney is I'm stunt Dory. When Ellen's not available, I fill in and I'm the Dory stuff, right? And so that one is terrifying. Yeah, that was terrifying and intimidating and oh my God, Cinderella is I love her. It's such an honor, like it's such an honor.
That's like everybody's first princess,
right? And then they go on to like the action princesses, but I have to say Cinderella 3, I was a little bit high action in that, and the whole Wreck-It Ralph broken shoe like threat thing.
I love the princess scene in Wreck-It Ralph 2.
It's pretty great.
I'm a princess
pretty entertaining.
Too. It's like,
yeah.
I need to call for help.
Yeah.
I love that scene so much.
I'll just put on my own cape, thank you. Yeah.
I laughed harder at that scene than my daughter did, which also is because she's 3.5 and didn't understand all of the references yet. But
I remember
Right, yeah.
when we did
It's
when we did Cinderella 2, we had the red carpet and the screening, and all the Disney employees were invited to bring their families. So there were a lot of little ones there dressed up in various princessy type garb. And there was, I think, like a 4-year-old girl in front of me. And I don't say anything when I'm there. I just show up and do my thing. But a couple times the handlers had come to get me and take me to do stuff, and they had, mentioned what we were about to do. So the mom overheard. So when I came back to sit down in my seat after, she turned around and tapped her daughter to look at me and said, "That's her. That's Cinderella." And the daughter looked at me and looks at her mom like, "You're crazy." I wasn't dressed like Cinderella. I don't look, I don't have blonde hair. She was like, "Oh my God, Mom." It's just so great.
That's fantastic.
And little kids are so literal.
Yeah.
So literal.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're like, "No, this is the voice of." No, that doesn't.
Yeah. And I don't care. My kid didn't know what I did till he was 7. And that was by accident, Yeah. I never really talked about it much because I was teaching him some business stuff I was, teaching him some stuff about business and maintaining your life financially and all that at the time. That's the part I would include him in, because look, if he's going to be an artist, he's going to be an artist. I need to empower that part of him that can also be his own patron, because the artist will come out whether you want it to or not,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I also have to point out, though, that as soon as speaking of things that are literal and children being literal, I'm 45. I'm still literal on a lot of things. So as soon as you said stunt Dory, my brain went, how does Dory do stunts? She's animated.
The jellyfish scene, obviously.
Well, yeah, probably, but that's exactly where my brain went to was, how do they do stunt? And then she's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, stunt Dory. She's just filling in for the voice." Okay, never mind. Shut up, Tim.
I have a friend who thought that the animated bloopers at the end of movies were real for a very, very, very long time.
Oh, I want to live in that world. Oh,
like
that's
she was
so
like
great.
15 before she realized that they were fake. Like,
Oh,
I get a guess.
no, it's not even that one.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
I know.
She's gonna, and when she watches it, she's gonna know I was talking about it. That's even better.
No, she's
Hi.
Tim has just been busted. Observe
Pretty
Tim.
Exactly. Tim will be in trouble the next time he sees her. It'll be okay.
It's all right. You just put your hand out in
He
front
was
of her. And her
enjoying
arms
his
are too
last
short.
few
She can't
moments
reach
of
you.
peace.
Tries to hit you. You just hold her by the forehead. Her arms are too short. She can't reach you. You'll be safe.
I'll be fine.
She'll start kicking, but that's a different story.
So we all have that one special thing that we hold dear and close to our hearts. Was there a role or that you have done in your past that may not be well known that you still hold pretty close to your heart?
That's such a great question. Let me think. You know, honestly, this just never stops being my favorite thing. The favorite thing for me is the sheer variety of stuff I've had the privilege to do. That I've been able to be everything from Cinderella to like a Commander Shepard to Princess Morbucks to, I mean, what was that crazy show, the Chimp Channel, to Carmen Sandiego, like all of it. It's just, that's my favorite thing. And also, like the diversity between that and Rivet and Ratchet and Clank, like all that variety that I can play in that way is the best.
Yeah, it's easy to see if you look over your list of titles that you've been involved in. That you're certainly not typecast. You're all over the place,
Thank you.
which I think is awesome. Personally,
I may always have on large boots of some sort. I haven't checked that out for real, but that would be.
Well, I think no, because Cinderella doesn't wear large boots.
That's true. I may often have large boots on of some sort. Yes.
That's,
Yes.
yeah.
hmm
Large
A lot of
boots
your
are
characters, are redheads too.
I noticed that. My fiery insides. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. There was one of your roles I was looking at earlier that I'm like, who? She was what? Can't find it now.
You'll find a few of those because I've outsourced my memory to IMDb. People are like, did you do this? I'm like, I don't know. Let me look.
What does IMDb
Right?
say?
Exactly. And they're not all on there, but that's okay. Most of them are. So
Lower Decks, that you were Lieutenant Durga and the dog.
yes.
and the dog.
Yeah.
It just the number of times that voice actors are the animals in things.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Like Alan Tudyk is Hey the chicken in Moana. And I'm like,
Oh, so great.
how? And then he's the toucan in Encanto. There were a couple other things where he's the bird. And I'm like, does Disney just have him on speed dial with the we need a bird? I'm like,
Honestly, I mean, there's so much to do in those productions, it would not surprise me. But a lot of the time, we'll go in and we're cast as, this role, and they'll hand us what are called incidentals, like two or, a couple other roles to do as well. And quite often,
Okay.
animal. It's like,
Hey, as long as you're here, give me a bark. Yeah, I got
pretty
you.
much. Like, can you do a dog? Yep. I do this size dog. I don't do a big dog. I do like a 30-pound dog. Does that work? Okay.
Perfect.
So cool, though.
Yeah. I mean, I could do a 110-pound dog just like with that voice, Which I used to have a cat like that. I had a giant Maine Coon blend that I got as a kitten at the shelter, and he was huge. And he had his massive, graceful, powerful, beautiful cat, and his meow was. I called him my Mike Tyson meow.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I have a 12-pound tuxedo cat who has the girliest little squeaky meow, which is funny because the black cat, the girl, has a more manly meow than he does. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Yep.
poor.
Yeah.
My little black cat, who was kind of for a minute, his bigger sister, but she was older, but never bigger after he was about 6 months old. She was a tiny little thing, maybe 4 pounds. And she was a terrorist. She would meow and meow and meow to come into the bedroom at night. And I'm like, no, I can't sleep when you're here. No, no, no. And she would just meow, meow. Finally, when she stopped meowing, she'd slip her paw under the door just enough to grab hold of the door and just go with her paw, slamming it back and forth because she knew it would keep you awake.
I had a cat who would knock on the door. She would stand at the door and do this. To the point where I put like foam padding on it, so at least then it wasn't the wood sound. But if I let her in my bedroom, then she'd do that on the window.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. Our cat Vader puts his paw on. If you won't let him in, he'll sit outside the door and meow with
Yeah.
a very small little meow as well. And he'll sit there, but he'll claw the bottom edge of the door.
Oh.
Just along the bottom edge, not the face of the door, just the underside of the door edge.
that
Yeah.
like
Which
Freddy Krueger-y.
and end up throwing a slipper at the door just to get him to go away. But because otherwise, if you let him in the bed, then he wants to like crawl around your head and meow at you.
Yep.
I call him my dog cat because he meow barks at me until I pay attention to him. So.
I'm
Cat
really
dog.
surprised that we've been talking about cats this long and I don't hear Ernie yet. Usually he knows we're talking about him.
Yeah, but you say his name 2 more times like Beetlejuice, he'll come around.
That's
So.
accurate. That is
All right.
definitely accurate.
So Jen, you've been a regular on the con circuits for quite a while. Over the last few years, obviously with the pandemic, you took a break, and there was some shows that were not done for safety reasons and other things. But we mentioned before, there's about 475 some odd listings on IMDb of characters that you have performed. So it made me wonder 2 things about when you go to these cons and the people that come to talk to you. It made me wonder, number 1, what's the most common question that you get asked in person? And number 2, what characters is the most common that people want to talk to you about?
I would say Commander Shepard is right up there in terms of what people want to talk about. They want to talk about Ashe from Overwatch. And there's a whole variety of other things. Like I never know what, it's deciding what pictures to take is the thing, right? I pick a few and I'll pick like Mortal Kombat or Knights of the Old Republic, or because in that one I am my own grandma, so I have that picture. And I get Satil Shan and Bastila Shan. And what people want to talk about the most is quite often what they ask me the most is what's your favorite character and how do I get into voice acting? And so now I just go to acting.skillshub.life. We're making a little path for you. Follow that.
There you go.
And here's my favorite character. Don't make me pick. So,
Well, when you have 475 different acting roles, it's hard to pick a favorite.
it's the one I can remember. Or my next one, as Rob Paulson says. It's my next one. Mhm.
That is
Rob
what-
Paulson. Yeah,
That is Rob Paulson's
I
answer.
love
Yes.
that answer though.
Yeah.
That's a great answer, honestly, because it tells me that you, like Rob, are still hungry to continue to do the work you're doing, and you're
I
looking
love it.
forward to your next project,
Oh my God, it's such great work. It's such great work.
which gets me excited because then I know that I have something else cool to listen to. So
So having done so many cartoon roles, animated roles, you actually said in a previous interview that you weren't allowed to watch cartoons growing up,
No, I was not. Mm-mm.
which is fascinating to me. But that made me wonder how you got into voiceover work. And do you prefer the games versus the shows? And what was the reasoning behind not being able to watch cartoons?
Oh, to figure out my mother's reasoning on much of anything was a fascinating journey. I don't know.
that might be a whole nother show.
It is a whole other show.
Moms are complicated creatures.
I got a suit. I went in for the extra complicated one. So what happened for me is I fell into voice acting because my mom, in her complication, always wanted me to excel at any given thing, but she also had a moment of clarity, I think, that I greatly appreciate. Well, I don't know where it came from. I don't care. I ended up auditioning for a fine arts high school and going to a fine arts high school. I prepared my audition by memorizing it the night before when I was in the car in the parking lot of a bar because my mom was catching up with some friends and we'd just moved back to that town. And so I sat in the car and memorized my monologue for my audition the next day for the fine arts, the Alabama School of Fine Arts. And I was like, okay, I always hope I remember it. And ironically, the audition was, I got in by the skin of my teeth, like on probation. Like, we think you might have talent, but we can't tell. This was kind of a train wreck, and the audition was from the skin of our teeth. So I got into that school, and then you meet a creative community, and my boyfriend's mom at the time did a lot of voice acting, and she introduced me to a video production house where I ended up working, and next door was an audio studio, and they asked me to come over and do a Valley Girl because I could do a Valley Girl. I was like, oh my God. And I loved it. And she talked really fast like me. And so I was blown away that they paid me, I forget, 30 or 35 bucks for this. So I bugged Greg and Courtney from Batwell Studios to be my mentors. I didn't pay them like you can on Skills Hub. I was rude and just bugged them. And I would try to pay them. They wouldn't let me. And I would pay them because I'd hire them to do my demo over and over, which is where I found out doing a demo early is a colossal waste of time and money. I redid that thing every couple months because my learning curve was so steep in the beginning, and I was just too embarrassed by it. Like 6 weeks later, like, oh no. And then I went around and cold called ad agencies. So I got to build business. I was still in, I think, high school or just beginning university at this point. And I got the decent amount of business, and I worked hard to figure it all out. And then I moved to LA. So I'd been doing tons and tons of work, and I was doing on-camera commercials, and I went to Atlanta and I auditioned for a film and I got that. And then I got another one and another one. So that prompted me to move to LA. And I spent, I think, 2 years struggling to make ends meet on working a couple times a year in film and TV. And I thought, I'm just going to make a voice acting tape, I didn't even call it voice acting. I'm just going to make a voiceover tape just to make some money.
Mhm.
And I made the tape, but I had so much experience, and this is a great hack. I had so much experience because I'd come from a really small market where I worked a ton and I really honed my craft. And I also I took that shortcut. Tell me what you know, I'll pay you for what you know. And in Atlanta, where I worked a lot, there were places where you could do that. Birmingham, where I actually resided, there weren't that many, but I would pay for expertise so I could skip in line, essentially.
Sure.
Line of life. And so I get to LA and I go in to do my demo, and Cindy Akers, who cut my demo for me at Voice Tracks West, she was like, you know how to do this. And I was like, I hope so. And she picked up the phone and called Cynthia McLean at SBV, where I still am today. That was 1993. And that was in September. And in October, Charles from SBV was apparently in the shower and had the stroke of genius, I'm going to call it, because I'm grateful for it, that I should go in on the callbacks for this new cartoon series that was casting, which was Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. So I was like, okay, I'll go. Oh my God, I have an audition. And I went, and I had no idea what to do because I'd never watched cartoons. And I was like, I just dropped everything and just went with my gut and committed 1,000,000%. And
Awesome.
I booked it. And then I had no idea what I was doing. So I jumped into every class I could possibly find to figure it out. I was like, oh my God, they want me to do 3 voices this week. And I'm just me younger, and a Valley girl. I don't know what to do. So yeah.
But you got it, and you were Ivy, and Ivy's the greatest.
Ivy is the greatest. I was certain I was going to be fired because I actually ended up with a really gnarly case of the flu and the shingles the
Oof.
week before. And it was actually the day before I was really sick, and I went or just congesty, and I went to the pharmacy and I grabbed everything I could find that would decongest me, but not make, I didn't know what to get. And I dumped it on the counter to the pharmacist, and I was like, I have this job, and I can't be sleepy, and I can't be congested, and I can't, what do I do? What do I do? But I have to sleep the night before because I have to be alert. And he was like, okay, slow your roll, crazy pants. Take one tonight, take this one tomorrow. And I was like, thank you. So I go to the session, and it all was, I get everything cleared out the way I needed to. And I don't take stuff very often, but I was like, I'm taking it today. And but we were doing a scene where we fall in the water and we're coughing and sputtering water. And Marcia comes on, the director. She goes, that was too phlegmy. Let's go again. And I'm like, they're going to fire me because I have phlegm. You know? Every time I went into that pharmacy for years, I would go, and that pharmacist was there. I would go, hey, you, thank you so much. I have this really great career now, and you so helped me. And I don't know if I'd have it if you hadn't helped me. He's like, okay, crazy. Okay.
Sure, you have this career.
Why does he keep ducking behind the counter when I walk in?
Why is he afraid of me?
Oh, Ivy was my favorite though. Like,
She was awesome. And that was a hilarious experience in a way, because we were one of the first cartoons to meet all the educational TV requirements that aired on a regular network. Because at the time, we aired on Fox. This is back in the olden times, kids. And so we had a completely balanced, gender balanced regular series cast, 2 men, 2 women. Every week we would have an ethnically mixed, a beautifully ethnically balanced cast, like in 1993 and 4, long before the times. So I was like, this industry is incredible. I love this. This is beautiful. And then my next show was a thing called Skeleton Warriors. And there were like 10 men and 2 women, and the women were scantily clad and had like 2 lines an episode. It was just such a different experience. Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So our Facebook group has over 200,000 members, I think it is.
Nice.
201 right now.
201.
Nice.
And it is literally just filled with memes of this mixed with this, everything to do with funny science fiction.
Yeah.
And so, what two characters of yours that you have done would you like to see come together to either work together or to fight against each other?
Oh my. Oh my God. Princess Morbucks and Commander Shepard.
Ooh.
That was quick.
Paragon Shepard and Princess Morbucks. Or Cinderella and Princess Morbucks. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
What about you? Anyone have suggestions how to improve upon that realization?
Well, mine was going to be Star Wars related, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Surprise.
Actually, I know, right? Honestly, it would have been Aayla Secura and Jean Grey for me, because those are two of my favorite.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Because Jean Grey's power set is the closest to anything even resembling something Jedi-ish.
That's true.
So-
That's true. That's true.
In
Do
my
you
opinion,
know-
they'd work pretty well together. Similar
Yeah.
temperaments.
I think your character Azita would be good from Three Below,
Yes.
mixed with somebody. I don't know who.
Ashe.
Who could we mix Azita with? Somebody super impulsive with very little self-control. That's why I always go to Morbucks, because she's got no self-control.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Way impulsive. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to look over the list.
It'll take you a while to scroll through it.
Yeah. My finger's gonna cramp up trying to go down the list on my iPad. All right, so
Tim, if you hit Control F, you can just type in what you want and they'll jump to it.
He's too old to know those tricks.
anyway, Nick. All right, so Jennifer, we're at a
I love
stage
that
in the
Nick's
show
going
where
in
we
trouble for that.
I know, right? I'm ignoring you at the moment. Usually it's you. But Jennifer, we're at a stage of the show where we like to take our guests through a little bit of a quiz. All right.
All right.
And I have entitled this quiz, What the Hale? Because that's what I said half the time as I was going through your list. I was like, oh, she was in that. What the hale? And then it got funny to me and I just kept saying it. So this is What the Hale.
I am not going to tell my son that phrase whatsoever. I would never get rid of it. It would be ubiquitous in my home.
All right. But this is a 5-question quiz and it's all about video games that you have been a part of. Okay. So
I might flunk it, just so you know.
it's entirely a possibility, but it's the release year of the game.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
All right, but it is multiple choice. We'll give you a video game title and 3 possible years, and you get to pick one of the 3.
Okay, I would short me on this one because I don't think I'm going to win.
Okay. However, so here's the thing: if you do get 3 out of the 5 questions correct, we would like to send you this. I gave to the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund coffee mug.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
If you get 4 questions correct, we're going to send you that coffee mug along with this book, which is Custodians of the Cosmos, which is written by Drayton Allen, our group founder, which is where we get the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund reference from, which is all about the book's about a young man who wanted to join something like Starfleet, but for litigious reasons, not Starfleet, and didn't quite make it. And so he rejoins as a custodian to boldly clean up after those who boldly just went. And so, however, if you do fail, as you seem to think that you might, we do have what we call a fun sequence.
Okay.
We take your picture, we make a meme out of you, and we put you in our group.
in. So I win either way, is what you're saying.
Yes. Well, that's the way I look at it. It's a win either way.
Okay.
But you're in good company if you do fail. We've had let's see, Dan Povenmire was our very first, not a very first failure, but our winner, depending how you want to look at it. But we had Frank Duran from the Warp Shelf podcast. We've had Dan Povenmire, Amber Hollinger Tornquist. If you know her, she's also been one of our meme recipients, and a few others. So there's only a handful.
So I'm in good company.
You're in good company. Yeah.
Exclusive group.
Yes.
It's always a very tasteful meme.
I call it the Face Plant Club. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
We might need to steal that.
All right.
Take us out, Nick.
Question 1. X2 Wolverine's Revenge. Was that 1999, 2003, or 2007?
I'm gonna go 2003.
You are correct.
Very good.
I love the instant panic in your eyes though as you start saying it with the like,
I'd
Mhm.
also like to point out that all 5 of these games that are listed here are all 5 games that I've played. That's also why they're on the list, because they're
Okay.
ones that I was like, oh man, she was in that. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? She was in that one. So anyway, okay, continue on.
Number 2, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. Was that 2002, 2010, or 2015?
Thinking. Hold on, it would have been there. Would have been there. I'm gonna guess 10.
No, it was 2002.
Oh God, really?
Yeah, that was for the original Xbox. So
Wow.
yeah,
Time is on the
All right.
fast track. Okay.
1 and 1.
Okay.
Siphon.
Oh, I was just checking. Siphon filter,
Mhm.
the Omega strain.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 1998, 2014, or 2004?
I'm going 98.
It's 2004.
Oh,
The original
go.
Siphon filter came out in 1998.
First hit. Yep. Okay.
Number 4, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic 2. Was that 2000, 2004, or 2010?
2004.
That is
Very good.
correct.
All right, 2 and 2. Here's for the
Oh,
coffee
here we
mug.
go.
Overwatch. Was that 2010, 2016, or 2020?
Hold on. Where was I? What was I doing? No, because I got to do. Okay, 2016.
You are correct.
Yes.
Very good. So you have escaped meme land. You will not be a member of the Faceplant Club, but you will get sent this awfully dapper little coffee mug. This
Thank
is I Gave
you.
the Registered Widows and Orphans Fund and has our logo on the backside.
I love
Yay.
that when you're staring off into space thinking, I'm like, oh man, if she does go into the meme, we need to do the loading buffer screen thing over her head.
Either that or have her hold up her hands and like she's counting on her fingers. But either way, it would have been great.
But I do that too with somebody will ask me, well, what year did you? And I'm like,
Mhm.
I was that pre-marriage or post-marriage? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
totally get it.
pre-baby, post-baby. And for
Oh
me,
man, everything
also
post-baby is just a blur.
because we don't it takes sometimes a year or two to put these things out after we do our part.
Right.
We never know, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
mean,
kind of figured that
especially-
when I was putting the quiz together. I'm like, well, this could be a crapshoot. We'll see how it goes.
It's a good one. I like that quiz. I like
it's a
it.
good thing
Oh,
you
thank
didn't
you.
do anything. It's a good thing you didn't do anything Skyrim related in the quiz because who knows? Who
Well,
knows when Bethesda's going to get you anything? Not bitter.
Not bitter at all.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm. No.
Well, Jennifer,
Yes, Nick.
thank you so much for being on our show today. Where can people go to find out more about you, what you're doing, as well as your website that you've launched?
Thank you, Nick. Let's see. I am on Twitter at jhaletweets. On Instagram, I am at jhalegram. On Facebook, I think I'm official Jennifer Hale. The site is acting.skillshub.life. If you just go to skillshub.life, you'll just pop into the actor portal there. I'm in there a lot. I'm in there every week, like checking in on the forum, interacting with people, that kind of thing. You can find me there. My website is jennifer@jenniferhale.com. My music is released under my name, Jennifer Hale, on all the music platforms and stuff. Yeah, that's my update.
Is that skills with a Z or an
No.
S?
S.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get my camera. Hold on. Let's see if I get my camera to obey. Will you obey? Skills Hub. Oh man, it's not focusing very well, but there's an S in there. Skills Hub. SKILS. SKILLS. It's not Spells Hub. No. Skillshub.life. It's .life, not .com.
Excellent.
We will
Thanks, you
definitely
guys.
link all of that in our description so that our viewers and our listeners can find you.
Awesome.
And now I feel bad that we didn't even ask you about your music.
Oh no, I have a couple songs out. I have 2 songs out right now. I'm getting ready to do. I've got 3 more in the hopper. to put together. It's just a matter of they're in here like driving me crazy. They won't stop playing, and then I'll actualize them. But the two I have out right now are Never and Sea of Stars, which was written for Christopher Paolini commissioned it for his book To Sleep in a Sea of Stars.
Okay, cool.
All
All right. We'll make sure we get links for all those in there so that people can
Thanks,
check
guys.
it out. And then we also want to remind everybody that subscribing is the single most important thing that you can do to ensure that we get more great guests like Jennifer Hale here to come on and share some funny stories with us and give us all a good reason to laugh. So please subscribe. It helps us more than we can ever really state. And of course, please check out all of Jennifer's work. You'll find it down below here in the show notes. Now, if for whatever reason you are not happy with the content of today's show, please feel free to lodge a complaint with the head of our complaint department. That, of course, is the Jedi Master, Aayla Secura. Now, Aayla will process your complaint with the help of Clone Commander Bly in a timely fashion, but obviously in accordance with Jedi beliefs. However, if your complaint aligns with the dark side of the Force, we are not responsible for how Aayla and Bly dispatch you, your complaint, or the whoever the offending party happens to be.
So think before you speak.
There it is. Now my day is made. We can be done now.
Well, thanks again.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, you guys. Kathleen, Tim, thank you so
you.
much. This was a blast.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to conclude us today for Funny Science Fiction. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which supports the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation that helps out sick kids when they need it most. And just imagine the comfort you'll give Red Shirt crewman number 76. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and joins Aja and Krell in defending Arcadia, that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund has his back and what's left of his Troll Hunter armor.
And speaking of sponsors and show partners, check out this short video from our good friends over at Level Up Lightsabers. Information about Level Up Lightsabers and their online training sessions can be found in the episode description below.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySci-Fi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Copyright 2020 by Drayton Allen. Original music by Jordan Michaels. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned in this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation of or by Funny Science Fiction or its sponsors. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at DraytonAllen@DraytonAllen.com.